Scal, how are you?
I'm doing well. How you guys doing?
We're doing great. I hope they play this game tonight. Did New Orleans fly in today? Because every flight was grounded. Did they even make it here?
I'm assuming so. I haven't got any news that they're not. So I hope it's not. We don't do a little green and white scrimmage. So yeah, I think we're good to go. I think they're here.
Well, that's great to hear. Scal, obviously, last time we talked, it was the beginning of that West Coast trip. Things didn't look great. Since the Dallas game, it seems like the Celtics have settled right back into the things that they do well. How do you feel about the team today, right now?
Yeah, defensively, so I got some numbers because I'm really loving the way that Rob Williams is playing. And, it looks like his net rating is somewhere around, when he's on the floor, plus 19. So I dove into some numbers. The Celtics are falling right back to where they were defensively when last season with Rob out there. He's just a freak of nature. He makes plays that normal centers in the NBA don't make. And I really feel like it's all about managing his knee and his health. But with him out there, and let's say we're at our best, it's really hard to see a team, in my mind, beating the Celtics 4 times out of 7 with Rob Williams playing like this if he stays healthy.
So, Scal, I'm going to preface this with, this is a kind of a personal irritant of mine, but Jaylen Brown is averaging a career-high 3.1 turnovers per game right now. Do you attribute that to his personal play and ball handling, or is it more so what he's being asked to do by the team right now in terms of, his position there?
Yeah, I think it's, he has to grow through last year. Like we realized last year that Jayson Tatum can't be the only guy with the ball in his hand. So Jaylen Brown at times, especially during the regular season where Tatum goes out, Jaylen Brown becomes that guy, and he has to be able to make plays. And I don't think that that's a bad number for as much as he handles and as much as he's required to make plays. Just understand, it's a work in progress from the standpoint being the guy and carrying teams for 7, 8, 9 minutes at a time. That's where Jaylen Brown has really thrived, but it's not an easy thing to get used to. So, yeah, I don't think for as many assists as he's averaging and as much as he has the ball, I don't think 3.2 is a terrible number. I think if that number, and the Celtics hover, it's 16 is like that magical number as a team. If they're 16 or below, I think they're on the year, 14-4 or something like that, but 17 and above, they're like a 500 team. So no doubt turnovers were a thing last year in the playoffs, but if they can keep those numbers down, they'll be great. But I like the way the plays that Jaylen Brown is making, and I like the growth that he's showing with the ball in his hands.
Scal, you mentioned Robert Williams and his health and him staying healthy. I mean, that's obviously a huge if right now. Can you speak a little bit to this rotation we're going to be seeing with him and Al Horford going off and on certain nights? And does this team have the depth at that position to withstand this?
Yeah, they're going to have to. That's actually a great question.
Thanks.
If I'm assuming that Al Horford doesn't play tomorrow, so does that mean Rob Williams is somewhere at 17 minutes tonight, and then tomorrow he'll play 25? It's not like neither one of those guys have a minute restriction, but they when they say manage the situation, they're looking at it more like from a 3-4 game cycle. So with 3 games in 4 nights that the Celtics have, and I don't know, Al has not played on a back-to-back yet, but if Al does not play on back-to-backs, then I would expect Rob Williams to be kind of downshifted today, lower minutes, and I expect Rob Williams to play a lot of minutes tomorrow. But I like when Blake Griffin's out there. I like Cornette has had his moments this year, but I think Cornette will be better if he played more minutes. But, with Rob Williams back, he doesn't deserve those minutes at this point. So I think we have the depth to handle these next 2 games, no doubt.
We talked a little bit last week about the surging Nets, and now, of course, Kevin Durant is taking care of an injury. Celtics play Nets tomorrow on the back end of a back-to-back. So without Kevin Durant, and like we just said, moving this lineup around a little bit around certain players resting on back-to-backs, is there anything we can read into this Celtics-Nets matchup tomorrow?
Not really, because Durant's out. Celtics on a back-to-back, and then Nets have 4. I guess they've had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off, so 3 days off. So not really. A lot of times in the NBA, you can't go with certain matchups because you don't know the situation. in the back-to-back of 3 games in 4 nights versus when a team gets in at 4 o'clock in the morning. All that stuff factors into the regular season. But I will say this, like, the Nets have played a lot better. Like, their defense right now, they're in the top 10 in both offense and defense. So they are trending towards a team that can win, a team that can make a playoff run. But just when you look at their winning streak, or like, I think they've won 18 of 20, there's been a lot of teams. Like the other night they played Miami, and Bam Adebayo was injured. Like he didn't finish out the game. So they have hit like kind of a scheduling thing where guys have been out, like Steph Curry and certain guys. So just like anything, you have to knock down the pins that are in front of you. But they have got a little bit of scheduling luck with the teams that they're playing. But I'm curious on how they handle these next 4 weeks. I do think they're more equipped to handle it this year than they were last year, when they really just like went to the tank without Kevin Durant.
Scal, I want to ask you an MVP race question. I hope you're ready for it.
I am.
Okay. Why do you think Jayson Tatum's slipping in the MVP race in Vegas anyway? Do you agree with that? Do you think other players are surpassing him right now?
So the only reason why they say Nikola Jokic is not the MVP is because they say things like voter fatigue and
right.
Like the media is not going to vote a guy 3 times in a row. But like I think Tatum's been great, throughout the season. But when you watch Nikola Jokic and what he's capable of doing night in and night out, and what he does with that group, it's hard to look at him and say, like, this guy's not an MVP. When he's on the floor, they're one of the best teams in the league. When he's off the floor, they're like at the bottom. They'd be like a team tanking for Wembanyama. So it's really, Tatum has like a lot better roster. And that's another thing that teams have been doing. In the past, it's always been kind of like the best player on the best team. But with Denver having a really good record out west, and Nikola Jokic is clearly one of the the favorites, I think that's the reason why he's slipping. And then Luka Dončić, which if I had to vote and only between Tatum and Dončić, I would vote Tatum. But Nikola Jokic, it's one of those things where I have a feeling there's enough guys that will say, like, I don't care about voter fatigue. The guy who deserves it the most is who I'm going to vote for. And, man, when you watch that guy play night in and night out, the other night he went 5 for 5 from the field, had a 16-assist triple-double. The guy just dominates every game, and the Nuggets are a very, very subpar team with him when he's off the floor. But long season, we're only halfway through the season. Tatum has been trending this direction. I do think if Celtics have the best record, then I do think that'll be a compelling vote for him.
All right, Scal, no Zion, no Ingram tonight. Trap game?
This team plays super hard. It's very similar to the Oklahoma City game. Where,
well, that's not
good.
I
know. Everyone everyone thought that was an awful loss because of the way that they play, man. Like, you watch Oklahoma City, that's a tough matchup if you're gonna kind of exhale a little bit or get your eyes, focused on, the second half of a 2 guys, thinking about Dallas. But tonight's the same thing. Like, if the Celtics have their focus on Brooklyn tonight, because they're one of the harder playing teams in the NBA. And Willie Green, as a coach, if you're not playing hard, he just goes with somebody else. So Celtics got to be ready for it. But if they have the right mindset from the start, and I think Marcus Smart's going to be returning, I think they'll be all right.
All right, I'm looking forward to the Smart Alvarado matchup tonight. I love that kid.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah, I agree.
That'll be fun. All right, Brian Scalabrine, thanks so much for the time. Enjoy the game tonight.
You got it. Thank you.
All right.